You clicked on this video because you're thinking about starting a Facebook group to implement in your business as a lead generation pillar. Well, stay tuned because I'm going to break down the best way to name your group so that way leads come to you. So maybe you're thinking of adding a new lead generation pillar to your business this year. Well, you're in the right place because I love Facebook groups as a lead generation pillar in my business. I use it in mine, and I've coached lots of other real estate agents to do the same in their business. I earn over $22 million a year in sales from my Facebook group, and I love helping other agents do the same. But the one issue that I see whenever someone's come to me and they've already started a Facebook group is I see an error with the name. So I'm going to go over how to name your group appropriately today so that you don't make the same mistake that I see other clients make. So as a real estate agent, you are the local mayor of your town, right? You are the know-all, be-all of everything in your area. So starting a Facebook group is a pretty likely jump, right? So you're going to create a group around your area. Now, if you live in a big metropolitan area, like I do, I live in the DMV or Northern Virginia or outside Washington, D.C., whatever you want to call it, but I didn't pick that as my group name because it's too broad. If I were to pick Northern Virginia, that encompasses 3 counties, and that's just too big of a geographical area. It can be an hour and a half to the other side of Prince William County from where I live. So I didn't want to pick that, and I don't recommend that for you unless your geographical area is really small. Now, I would also not pick something that nobody knows. So if you're going to name your group, I live in Dulles South. But that's only a name that like our politicians use here, and maybe the school board and like a handful of people. Like nobody calls the area that I live in Dulles South. I would not name my group Dulles South Community Group, right? So you want to include the location in your name because it's the pivotal part about how you're going to get clients. But you want to pick something that is known and that people who are relocating to the area are going to think of. So let's think about location. Where do you live? What do people call it? So I picked the county that I lived in. I've had some clients pick like southeast of a big city or a certain town or a city name or a county name. So think through that and what is very common and what do a lot of people say in your area. Now, if you live in an area like I do where it's got like another name that maybe some locals use, like Dulles South, I wouldn't use that unless it's something that people who are relocating would think of. If it's not, I would nix that and use something else that's more common. I also wouldn't do a general state. I had one client who picked a whole state, and it's really hard unless you can leverage referral partners in every corner of that state, because there's no way you're going to be able to service everyone who's relocating or thinking of moving to a particular state unless you have partners in place. So if you work for a brokerage that's maybe a national one that's got a lot of partners throughout the state, that might be a good option. If you don't, I would not recommend that because you're just going too broad. Now, your name of your location needs to be in your community group, in your group. So you could pick a community group, living in, moving to, parents group, moms group. And I've got a couple different names to kind of get you started and get you thinking. And if you want a copy of my name guide, click on the link below and I'll send you a copy. It's got all of my favorite group names that you can kind of go through and start, either use them or use it as a place to kind of a stepping off place where you can come up with your own name. You can even put some names into ChatGPT. Once you've landed on what you think your name is going to be, then I want you to do a little bit of research. And I want you to see if someone else is using that same name in your area. If there's already 10 other groups, like I helped a client who lives in Florida, there was 10 other groups with the same name. I would rethink your strategy and pick a different name, pick a different something. Like if it's, like Sacramento Community Group, then, and there's 10 of those, I would pick a different, maybe not community group, maybe living in or what's going on, something like that to differentiate yourself from those other groups, because after a while, it's just going to be overly saturated and you don't want to make that mistake. The next mistake that I have seen is that you niche down too much. I had one client who did a teachers group for a general area. The area was too broad, and a teachers group really wasn't a good lead generation tool. Remember, this is going to be a lead generation tool. So you want a lot of different people in your community joining this group to get to know, like, and trust you, and for you to put valuable information. Well, if you're not a teacher and it's too broad and too niche, it was too broad of an area and it was too niche down. I mean, how many teachers really live in that area to buy or sell a house with? It was really niche down too much. So I don't recommend picking something like a running group or a hiking group or a teacher's group for the name of your group. Pick something that's a community-wide. I have a mom's group, so I do exclude men, so I have kind of niched down, which is totally doable. That's also another great option to do, is you could just gear it towards women or men or moms or parents in your area or dads in your area. But don't go too deep, don't go too nichey with like running groups, teachers groups, hiking group, biking groups, swimming groups, things like that. You just don't want to do that. You want to make it a community group where anyone in your area would want to join. The other mistake that I see is they'll pick their HOA. So they might live in an XYZ HOA and they'll make a community group. The reason I don't recommend that is really twofold. One, it might be just too small. Are there maybe 5,000 to 10,000 people living in that HOA? If not, and there's maybe 500 or 1,000, you may want to rethink it because there's not going to be enough people to join your group. The other thing is with an HOA group, a lot of times there's no way for you to block other real estate agents from joining your group. This is a lead generation pillar. So this is like your open house, right? They're going to get to know, like, and trust you and talk to you at the open house. But you don't want all these other real estate agents sitting in your open house. So you don't want them in your group. But if you have a community group that's just your specific HOA, it's really hard to kick them out or say they're not welcome. So you really need to rethink that. So if this is going to be a lead generation pillar and you don't want someone taking your leads or getting to know people in this community group so they use them as a real estate agent, I definitely would not pick your HOA as the name of your community group. So the secret recipe to having a profitable Facebook group where you can get leads is a broad community group, parents group, moms group, living in group, but you have to include your location because that's how relocation clients are going to find you. I get a lot of relocation clients every year, and that's kind of a secret to having a group with the proper location in the name. And you don't want to repeat something that everybody else is using, and you don't want to go niche down. So you don't want a running group, a jogging group, or anything like that. If you have any questions about starting a Facebook group or how to get leads out of your Facebook group, I've got a course all about that, and the link is down below. Or if you'd like a copy of my free name guide to help you name your new Facebook group, I've also got a link down below where you can get a copy of that guide. If you have any questions about Facebook groups and using it as a lead generation pillar in your real estate business, love to be a resource for you. My contact information is down below.